Be'ezrat Hashem, we are going into the 6th day of the month of Elul, to Vav Elul, and off the subject, but I want to remind many of the people who learn, today is the Hilulah of the Zera Shimshon. We learn a lot from his books, so the ones who are interested, today is the Hilulah. You can light a candle and learn some of his teachings, and needless to say, great tzaddik. But nevertheless, today is the 6th day of the month of Elul, and I'll tell you later the full name, Be'ezrat Hashem. Just to very quickly recap what we were doing the last couple days. So the first day we made a switch in our mind. Second day we created a list. Now we're very quickly going through the list so we can start laying down a roadmap for the journey of Teshuvah. Yesterday I was talking specifically about the refinement of character, of the Tikkun HaMidot. We went very briefly on that. Next week we'll start elaborating a little bit more in depth, specifically of Tikkun HaMidot. But today we'll talk very briefly. One of the parts on the list is, I said that in the 2 columns that we make, we do 1 column about all the hachlatot, the resolutions that I took. I don't like using the word resolution, so I'm just going to say once hachlata means resolution, I'm just going to say hachlatot. Because usually on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Elul, Simchat Torah, I'm in the right mood, so to say. I'm inspired and I take on myself, you know what, this year I'm going to finish a masechet. So this year I will do this and that, this year I'll do this and this. And usually that never holds too long. So I was suggesting to do 2 columns. One of them is all the achlatot that I did, but I actually fulfilled them. And the question is, how many of them are going to be on that column? But you make one side of all the resolutions, the achlatot that I made, and I was able to do it. I decided that this year I'm going to stick to a minyan. Every day I'm going to pray 3 times a day in a minyan. Maybe I failed twice or 3 times, but I would say 85% to 95%, I made it. You want to put it on the list that I was able to sustain the decision that I took on myself. Needless to say, to give yourself credit points, to tap yourself on the back, but more to analyze which ones I was able to actually fulfill. On the other side, you make the list of the ones that I took on myself, but nothing happened. It survived 3 days, 3 weeks, and then stopped. And the reason why you want to see is, first of all, you need to make an analysis how much you can contain, how much you can handle. You know, when I was a little kid, my father always told me that I have big eyes. I would go to a restaurant or eat dinner, the plate was full. And he was always telling me, why are you taking so much? You're never going to finish it. You're not going to be able to handle it. You have big eyes. So sometimes when we have good intentions, we also have big thoughts, big dreams. Yeah, no, well, this year I'm gonna become Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So even when your spiritual growth, you have to measure how much you can handle, because better to do a little bit but to do it right than to do a lot and not to do it at all, or to do it bad. And this is really where you want to put your focus specifically on this part. Because on one side, you see what you were able to sustain. You took on yourself a few achlatot. I'll just throw a few to make examples. So many make the achlata. This year, if it's a man, I will pray in a minyan 3 times a day. I know many women who took on themselves, this year I'm going to make challah once a week. So the first 4 weeks it worked out, and then it went to twice a month, then it went to once a month, then it went to nothing, and you go buy chalot in the bakery. And again, I'm not trying to chas v'shalom hurt anybody. It's just to see how it usually happens. So there are many things I can tell you for myself. I can't talk about other people, but I had many achlatot on the way that I'm going to be very particular with doing netilat yadayim next to the bed. I'm going to be very particular with wearing tzitzit 24 hours a day, not to take the tzitzit off, or whatever. Each one has their thing. But when you're looking at the list, you want to see the ones that you were able to do, to analyze why these ones I was able to do. Forget about now that you want to tap yourself on the back and say, Baruch Hashem, kol hakavod. You know, if I made 20 resolutions, there were 20 achlatot, 3 I was able to do, good. 3 is better than 2. But I want to see what are these 3. And then, of course, the ones that I wanted to do and I couldn't do. Now let's say I took on myself to pray in a minyan. And you know what? One of the years I took on myself I said, okay, this year I'm going to make sure that I'm never missing a minyan. Happened to be 4 months into the year, we relocated. And where I lived, there wasn't a minyan there. I had to drive 25 minutes to 35 minutes to find to the closest minyan. So now what? I didn't get it. I didn't do it every day. It was a big thing. And of course then the Yetzer Hara started saying, oh, you're going to drive now? Half an hour? Just pray at home. So go just to Shacharit. You know, the Yetzer Hara, he knows how to make it more convenient. Don't have to go all the time. You know, just go for Mincha and Arvit, and in the meantime you'll do shopping or whatever. So that was very hard to fulfill the Hachlata. Now, of course, what was my excuse? Well, I live very far. I can't make it to the minyan. It was 2.2 miles to walk from the closest Bet Knesset to where I was. So 2.2 miles to drive. No, sorry, what am I talking about? It was 3.2 or 4.2, whatever. It was about a 25-minute drive, and on Shabbat was about a 45-minute walk. Now, 45 minutes in the summer to walk with a talit on you and a black jacket, that's not so fun. You get there, you're already hyperventilating. But nevertheless, why am I saying that? Because my Yetzer Hara had all the excuses why I shouldn't fulfill this Achlata. So when I came to sit and think about it, I was like, wait, it wasn't my fault. So one can say, you're right, it's not your fault, but you still made a decision. How much did you work towards it? And I can tell you that I failed many times because the Yetzer Hara told me, what, you're going to drive now 35 minutes to pray 10 minutes? I mean, come on, just pray at home. So anyways, why am I saying that? Because sometimes the Yetzer Hara will corner you and tell you how great you were. No, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, you're good to go. And the Yetzer Hara gives you a discount. So you want to look at this list and you have to be honest. Now, a lot of people, I can tell you, will say, I didn't make any achlatot. Then that's already bad. Because in an auspicious time like Elul, that's the time when you want to take on yourself. I told you already, now it's like yesterday I gave the analogy of the subway surf. That you took the prize and you double power, double speed, you're flying. A different day I gave another analogy that the Kadosh Baruch Hu gives you on Elul a coupon. Instead of paying 100%, just pay 3%. So it's very easy on Elul for the ones who are determined to take on themselves a lot of achlatot. Now a lot sustain. If you can pull through it for 40 days, good. But even if 50%, 40%, 30% remains, that's also good. What you want to take in this practice is first of all to see what are the ones that you were able to do and what are the reason. Because it was easy, because I gained something. Sometimes you're able to do something because you gain something. So, gain something. Sometimes it can be a financial gain, sometimes it can be whatever social, whatever it is. Sometimes you see, well, what is the cause? Why I was able to do it? Yeah, because I got something out of it. So you want to make that analogy. And then you want to look at the ones that you weren't able to do and to analyze why weren't I able to do this, and this. And again, you can't look for excuses. To be honest here. And the point to take from that is that you want to take a few additions, but rather do a little bit and be successful than take a lot and not be successful. Because when you take too many additions and you're not successful, psychologically you see, wait a minute, I'm failing with everything. And I'm not able to sustain it. And psychologically, subconsciously, you're like, wait a minute, I'm instead of going forward, I'm going backwards. You rather take a few and say, let me master these ones, let me get them, as they say, under my skin or in my routine, then I'll take another one. But the point of the achlatot is because now is a very, very good time throughout Elul is to say, what do I want to take on myself for the coming year? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu tells you something very interesting. He says, whatever you didn't do the last 11 months, let's put this aside for a second. Whatever you'll do in the month of Elul, I will take that and retroactively add it to what you didn't do for 11 months. Just imagine the kindness of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, that he says, let's stop right here and do damage control. Whatever you didn't do till now, I'm willing to kind of ignore, turn my head around. But if you do it very, very seriously and diligently in the month of Elul. So that's the time when you want to, so to say, pack it in. And I know it sounds like you're cheating. I know it sounds like, what am I, fooling Hashem? He knows I didn't do it the whole month. Yeah, you're right. But I do the same thing with my kids. I tell them, okay, forget about the last couple days. Let's start fresh. And if you do now what I tell you exactly, I'm willing to retroactively consider like as if you did it. So first of all, you want to add all these things, because you want to get on Hashem's best side, especially before you go on Rosh Hashanah. I mean, Rosh Hashanah is the day that everything is decided. You don't want to prepare yourself 2 days before Rosh Hashanah. You want to already now prepare yourself. And it's not about cheating the game. More than that, whatever you take on yourself in Elul, there's a very good chance that 40 to 60% will remain. You'll be able to sustain it. Usually after Sukkot, everything comes down. You are on a good high for another 3-4 weeks, and then it settles down. But if you can take from that at least another 3-4 things, or 10 things, depending on yourself, you have to make this analysis to know what's the capacity that you can handle. Because if you take too much and you're not successful, you not only did you didn't gain anything, you lost everything. In Hebrew, in Israel, there's a saying, better to have one bird in my hand than to have 2 on the tree. It's the same thing here. Better to be successful in one thing that you take on yourself than to take 10 and you're doing it one day yes, one day no, one day you forget, one day... Why? Because like I told you, psychologically and subconsciously, you see, wait a minute, I'm a failure. I'm not able to pull my weight. So again, you go through this list and now you redo the hachlatot. The ones that you see that you were successful, analyze why were you successful. Because it was easy. I always tell people, better to take 10 easy things than one hard thing, because it's easier to maintain something easy. A lot of people say, this year I'm going to start observing Shabbat. Whoa, hold that right there, cowboy. To observe Shabbat on your first day of doing Teshuvah, that's not so easy. You'll sustain 3 weeks. Better to take 10 things that are very easy. Start with saying a bracha when you drink something. It takes exactly 3 seconds. So better to master little things, because by default you're gonna able to do the big things. Now here it's very hard to be direct, because every person is on a completely different level. One person, for them to focus on 10 little things, that's a big thing. And for a person who's doing Teshuvah for 20 years, you'll tell me, what, you tell me now to say a bracha? This is not something I want to take on myself. I need to take on myself some serious things. So here you have to do your own individual homework. A, what you were able to actually fulfill and maintain. B, what are the ones that you hoped and you couldn't? And what are the ones that are in between? And you redo your hachlatot. But you want to do it now, not on Rosh Hashanah, because you want to do it now and bring it into practice. To show the Kadosh Baruch Hu, I took on myself 5 hachlatot, 5 things that I'm taking on myself for the month of Elul, and this is going to be my ticket going into Rosh Hashanah. With having in your back of your mind that it should sustain for the rest of the year, not just to impress Hashem, but you want to make sure that you are doing things that you are able to be on top of it. And again, I'm saying it over and over, repeating myself, better to do less, but to do it every day, than to take on yourself big things that you know it's almost going to be impossible, and then you'll do one time yes, one time no, and then you fail. Better to master one thing good, or 2 or 3. That's where you have to make the analysis of how much I can handle. I know on myself how much I can handle, in which departments, and I know where I'm not going to be able to handle something, so I don't even take the hachlata. Needless to say, I don't even have to say that, but any hachlata, any decision you take on yourself, and you have to say bli neder. If you do it with a neder, you're going to have a problem. You have to tell yourself, I'm going to try bli neder to make it every day to the minyan. I'm going to try bli neder to learn 1 hour a day Torah. If you don't say bli neder and you're taking on yourself a decision, that will corner you and you're going to have a problem. And don't think that it's going to be so necessarily easy to on Rosh Hashanah, Tarat Nedarim, that it's going to work so easy. So, but this is an essential part of when you put yourself targets. In Hebrew, this is something they teach you in the Israeli army, it's called Hatzavat Agdarat Yadim. I define my destination. If I don't have a destination, that's how we started this whole thing. If I don't have a destination, if my destination is not defined, so where are you going? I need to put a landing mark. That's the landing mark. And right now, the landing mark is to do A, B, and C, or A, B, and C till Z, for the minimum of the 40 days till Yom Kippur. Or you take on yourself 60 days, 40 days, whatever. Why? Because when you do it consistent, and you do it repetitively for at least 40 days, then it becomes already part of the system, then you're able to incorporate it into your life. But again, my humble suggestion is don't take too much. Better to take a little bit, master it, so take achlata 2 months down the line. You know what I do? I make a list of the 20 things that I really want to change. And then I categorize them in highest priority. So I narrow it down to 4 that are in the highest priority. Then I will do second priority, third priority, fourth priority. And what are the hardest, what are the easiest, what are the ones that I really, it's important. Some things are very important. Sometimes the priority will go by the severity of me not doing it. So sometimes the achlata, a person should say, this I have to do, because not doing this mitzvah or doing this avera, that's severe. That's where you want to get to the point saying one is enough. But nevertheless, what I do in my list is I will put it in priorities. And then I would say, let me master the first 4 for in the next 60 to 90 days. If I'm able to master these 4 or 5, then I'll add the second category. You have to know yourself. But it's exactly like working out. It's exactly like when you diet, you have to put these destinations, these marks. Again, in Hebrew it's called Hatzavat Yadim, is when I put marks. This is stop 1, this is stop 2, stop 3. And that's how you make yourself a plan. And you have to be very diligent, very focused, and very determined. This is what I decided, that I'm going to do it. Now, when you're doing it in a precise and a precision way and in a diligent way, that's where you convince the Kadosh Baruch Hu, oh, I can stand for my word. I decided to do something, I'm doing it. And then if that's where the Kadosh Baruch Hu is focusing on what you're successful, is ignoring a little bit of the failures. He says, okay, here you were successful. That's where you gain all your credit points. And needless to say that it becomes part of the system. So just again to recap, you want to have one side all the ones that you were able to do and why you were able to do them. And then the ones that you wanted to do and you completely failed miserably. And the ones that you failed, you were able to do it Yom Ken, Yom Lo. One yes, one no. But you want to make an order, and now you take this decision and saying, okay, for the next 40 days, A, B, and C. And specifically the ones that you know, these, like I said yesterday, I don't know if it's an American saying, by hook or by crook. That's Ras Binemo. This doesn't matter. The world will move. This I'm not missing. And when you focus on the target, then and you achieve it, also at the same time, subconsciously and psychology, you are able to. I was able to succeed. I was able to put a target and to fulfill it. And needless to say that when you feel successful, it motivates you to be much more successful.